face, baby. Okay, so in this video, this is going to be a part 2 video of the video that I posted yesterday. Now, before we get into this video, I have to give a disclaimer. I have to give, I guess, a trigger warning, and I have to let you guys know that if you are a person who has not dealt with your own personal trauma, if you cannot take an objective outlook to a situation such as this, please click off of the video. I don't want to go back and forth with people. I don't want people to feel like their own trauma or their own situations that they went through is being tested, or or people coming for them, because a lot of times in these situations, when you point out certain things, people who have gone through this type of trauma, they think and they feel as though you're doing a personal attack on them. And they think if you point out certain things, you're saying that, you're going against all victims, or you're saying that, somebody isn't a victim, or whatever the case. So I'm just giving a trigger warning. If that's you, if you are a person who has not dealt with your personal trauma, you don't like an objective point of view, then click off the video. I'm not going to go back and forth with people. I'm not about to argue with you. So yesterday I reported a video. Let me take this banner off so that we can get straight into some things. Let's get into some things. Okay. So anyways, yesterday I reported a video on a woman who came forward saying that she was the alleged victim of Kenneth Petty. Now, when this woman came forward, I myself personally started to receive DMs, and the people who were sending me the DMs, I asked each and every one of them, what proof did they have that it was her? She went on to do an exclusive interview with a YouTuber by the name of, so in the interview that she did with, she went into a little bit more further detail about the situation, and she talked a little bit more in depth about the situation, and she even had like a confrontation with a woman, etc. And after, Armand Wiggins had called me and I had talked to a couple other people, I said, okay, we could see the video and people can make up their mind what they feel about the video, and they could tell me how they feel. The consensus of the video, a lot of people felt as though, she was telling the truth. They felt like she had a very convincing story. They felt like she was the actual person who was tied to the actual case. Now, after the video, or as the video was going on, there were several people who also pointed out certain inconsistencies from what was on record versus what was said in the video. Now, in my video, people started to point out the fact that, the big question was, how did she go from the bus stop to his house, being that that was a big part of the case, and being that on record, the allegation was that, she felt like he like put a gun to her back, and he felt she was like violently kidnapped, and all of those things. And so when she didn't explain or convey it in the manner of that, people started to question her. So when she went on live, it wasn't until people called her out for missing that detail that she then told that part of the story. So people started to be like, okay, how she didn't mention the gun or the object that was in back of her, how didn't she mention this and that? And so after that, I've asked her about it, and then after she was asked and confronted about it, then was when she brought up that detail. Now, a lot of people felt as though, of course, this happened a very, very long time ago. You're not going to remember every detail about the case. You're not going to remember every single thing. You're just not. It's just obvious that you're not. However, being that if you were violently kidnapped and somebody put, an object to your back, many people felt as though that is something that you would have conveyed in retelling the story, because that was a big part of the story. And for her to go from bus stop to, the house, people felt as though something isn't right. So then there was a blogger by the name of Black T, or before I seen Black T blog, people started coming to my DM and they started to send me receipts of the actual court records and send me receipts of, actual things that happened versus what was said. Then after that, Black T blog had put together a video where she was showing how there was inconsistencies in the email, how the case numbers, were different. Like it was different case numbers on the things. The case numbers that was in the email that she showed wasn't the case number that was on the actual document. And she also showed that the actual attorney that she said was representing Kenneth Petty, she showed that those people were not representing him. And she also showed a couple other things in the video. Now, being that on my channel, I share both sides. I can't share one side without sharing the objective side to the story and show that people have pointed out other things. Now, if you believe her, then that's up to you. If you believe that she's the one who's in the video, you have every right to believe what you want to believe. And I'm not here to convince you otherwise of what you believe, because once you got your mind made up, that's what you believe and that's what it is. However, me as a blogger, I'm not going to just show you one side. I've never given you guys one-sided information. If there's something that I came forward with and I showed you this angle and people come out and they share something else, then I'm going to share both sides with you guys. A lot of people in my live yesterday, they felt as though, I think a lot of people, and what I will say before I show different parts of Black T Blog's video, a lot of people misuse the word victim blame. Okay? The word victim blame and victim shame is probably one of the most abused and overused and miscategorized words of 2020, along with clout and along with Black women are unprotected. People use certain words out of context, and it's really, 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 really getting under my skin. Like, you guys use the word victim blame and victim shame on things that do not apply. The things that we do know is Kenneth Petty committed a crime. He committed what is considered a heinous crime. He committed an assault on a woman, and he has served his time for that assault. And he also has to register as an SO for the rest of his life. Nobody is negating that fact. Nobody is saying that he's innocent. Nobody is saying that he is not a person who is guilty of committing a heinous act. Those things are things that he admitted to in court. He admitted to, having involvement in court. So nobody's negating that he had a part to play in a heinous act on a woman. Okay? So when people are now saying, hey, the heinous act that he committed on this particular woman might not be the person who's actually speaking today, that's not victim shaming. That's saying, hey, we live in a day and era where people say and do crazy things for attention. You don't have to show your face to get attention. A lot of people were saying, well, she didn't show her face, so how is she getting attention? People could get attention just knowing that, hey, I made it to this blog or that blog, or, I like my story. Like people are crazy in 2020. Like people are literally crazy in 2020. You have people who are diehard stans of celebrities that they never meet. The celebrity will never break bread with them, never hang out with them, never acknowledge them, never care about anything going on in their life. You have literally people who live, breathe, stalk, and try to get revenge for people that they never met. Period. So, people do crazy things. I seen somebody in the chat saying that her cousin confirmed it was her when she called in. We don't know these people. That's the same thing I told Noah in a DM when she got defensive before I went live, and she got really upset that I asked if the lady showed proof. I said, hey, I reached out to Noah just like I reached out to her before I did my video yesterday. And I said, hey, did the lady send you proof that this was actually her? Did she show you proof that she's the actual person really tied to the case? And one of the things that she said was, well, her cousin, did you see that her cousin confirmed it? And I'm like, we don't know that lady from a can of paint. I don't know that that's really her cousin, and that doesn't confirm that. So she got really defensive when I said, listen, I'm not, because I'm not trying to attack her or anybody, I'm not trying to attack her or anybody. I just pointed out, I said, listen, the email that you showed, it didn't have a timestamp. It didn't have a date. It didn't have where it came from. It didn't have a sender. It didn't have anything that could say, okay, this is proof that this came from the person that she said it came from when she said it came in. Got extremely defensive and mad, and she felt like I was attacking her, and she felt like because people were saying stuff in my comments that I was rattled. If y'all was not here for the ride of the R. Kelly situation, a couple of people coming at me, calling themselves dragging me is not enough to rattle me up out of these YouTube streets or anywhere. Okay, I'm still gonna cover the stuff that I'm gonna cover, and I'm still going to have an objective perspective if there is information presented that show otherwise, out of being fair. Now, with all that being said, that is not me saying that she is not the actual person. I'm not saying that that woman isn't really the woman who is tied to the situation, but if there is proof or there are people pointing out inconsistencies, I feel like I wouldn't be being fair in not showing you both. Period. Okay? So, that's all that I want to, I want to have transparency on here. A lot of people, like I said, when I started, a lot of people look through the lens of being a victim, and they turn off the lens of inconsistencies and things happening that, wait a minute, this really, what I'm saying? They turn off certain things because a lot of women in our community have been victimized. And for that, my heart goes out to all of you guys. I'm genuinely, I was really broken yesterday when there was so many people who came on my live and they were saying, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. And it was a caller after caller. It breaks my heart that so many of our Black women have gone through that. It breaks my heart. But I want you guys to be able to be in a space to where you understand what happened to you, and you're able to also look at other things through a lens of logic as well. Because I think a lot of people look through a lens of emotion, and they're like, well, this happened to me, so, and you automatically, go there. And I just want people to look at it with an open mind. I don't know if this is her or not her. I'm not, what I'm saying? But anyways, y'all get my drift. Anyways, so Black T Blog, she had posted up a video, and she pointed out a couple things that kind of stuck out to me. And I was like, that's interesting. So I'm going to also share them with you guys. And, you guys can make up your mind for yourself. Like I said, if you believe that she is the one, that was it, by all means. I'm not here to change your mind. Believe what you want to believe. Believe whatever. But I still have to show both sides. Okay? So this is the video right here. And so I'm going to skip through her video, just pointing out a couple of things, and then I'll let you guys come on. But again, I'm not about to argue with nobody. I'm not about to argue with y'all, period.
About what happened to her. She now changed a couple things about saying that he initially didn't let her leave, and then she, tried to set the room on fire. She kind of came up with some other things. We also hear during the live stream that there is a woman who comes on the live stream to challenge what the victim is saying. She says that they were in a relationship, and she's challenging how the victim is going around to portray the entire incident. Go ahead and check this out. The victim kept asking this other woman, how much are they paying you? How much are they paying you to say say this. And the alleged victim is continuing to play on the notion that people are being paid to go against her and to say lies and to try to make it seem like she's out here lying about the situation. Now, I don't think that this person that came on the live was lying. She was very passionate in what she had to say. And you kind of saw the victim or the alleged victim kind of back down and say that this woman is going through some other stuff. And this is why she's out here talking about this. Now, guys, the next thing that I want to talk about is actually this email that she said came from the victim notification system. Now, look, everybody knows that the victim notification system is very valid. They send automated updates to victims when a perpetrator is indicted or charged with a new crime. But some of the information in her email does not add up. For example, at the top of her email, it says United States v. Kenneth Petty. It has a case number and also a court docket number, which are different. Usually, the case number and the docket number are the same. There are instances where that does not happen. However, it is required by law that both of these numbers, if different, must appear on every single document that is upheld in the court. If not, the court does have to amend their documents. Let's look at the U.S. District Courts. And I'm talking about specifically New York, so you guys understand what a docket is. If you guys look below, it says the docket number is the court's case number or tracking number. Once a docket number is assigned to a case, it must appear on all papers submitted to the court, okay? Typically, a docket number is made up of 2 digits to signify the year, followed by the case type, okay? Either for civil cases or criminal cases. It is then followed by a 4 or 5 digit case number and followed by the judge's initials in parentheses. For example, you guys see civil code, the number, and the CM for the judge's name. Now, let's look at the actual indictment to see if we see a match between both the case number and the docket number. If we look at the actual indictment, we will see at the top in blue that it provides the case number, the same exact case number on the actual document of the indictment itself. If we look at her supposed email, we see that there is a separate docket number. That docket number is not found anywhere in the United States Supreme Court documents. It is not talked about. The only other number present inside of this indictment and the criminal summary is the reference to the case back in 94. That case number starts with a 4. It does not start with the 2019. On top of that, you guys remember that I told you, based on the U.S. District Court, that usually the docket number will start off with the year. We know from court documents that Kenneth Petty was indicted on February 25th of 2020, meaning 2019 wouldn't have been the year that the docket was created. On top of that, he is not being charged with a trigger lock or firearm. He is being charged for failure to register. So when you look at the bottom, the charges do not match the situation that's going on in the indictment. But let's talk.
All right. So that's one of the things that she pointed out. And when she pointed it out, I was like, I mean, that's interesting. And, you know, if something like I see a couple of you guys saying that she's a Nikki fan page and she's biased. Now, one thing that you can't refute, I don't care how biased she is, if something is a fact, it's a fact. Like if it's somebody who is a total diehard stan, if something is a fact, it's a fact. I don't care how much she is up Nicki Minaj cooter cat. If what she's saying is a fact, is a fact. Also, in turn with what she said, the email, it didn't have a date. It didn't have a timestamp. It didn't have any identifiable, you know, markings to show that this is actually what it is that she said. Now, again, I don't know if the woman is the woman, but I have to present an objective side. If there is information that shows otherwise, we have like the cousin coming on there and arguing is not proof that that's her. Like I could set that up now. Like people are crazy. But again, you know, you're entitled to believe whatever, you know, but if something is a fact, then I still have to present it to you guys and you use that information to make up your mind on what you believe. You know, it's up to you. Another thing that she pointed out in her video, she pointed out the whole thing where the girl has said something about Kenneth Petty wanting her to retract the statement. And then she says, according to, I guess, New York law, and I have to look that up myself. I haven't looked that part up myself to type it up myself, but she did show receipts of that. she showed that per New York law, you can't get a SO case thrown out until after 30 years of the first registration. So I found that to also be interesting as well. And I mean, he could have very well known that, you know, he can't get it thrown out per se for 30 years, but he got to jump on it and maybe wants to get it thrown out now so that in 30 years, he when the 30-year mark, he don't have to worry about it. That's plausible as well, you know, but I did find that detail to be interesting. You know, I could have a case and I could know that, you know, it ain't gonna be off my record, but I could get a jump on it early and get somebody to recant. That's plausible, but it's also plausible that it could be something else, you know? But like I said, I just have to present with you guys both sides, and you can make up your mind and you can decide on your own. So after I showed that, and then Chandra says, I think people like attention. Can we get something? I don't know. Can we get P? I don't know what y'all saying. And then somebody said, why was Sunday in the comments right on time? Cousins put that together. I don't know. So let me go to that part of the video, and then I will allow you guys. Actually, let me put the call-in link so that you guys can already be queued up and ready to go if y'all want to speak. Again, I'm not arguing nobody. If you believe it, you believe it. If you feel like, that's interesting, then, you know, I'm going to allow anybody to say what you want, but do not use the R word. Do not use the M word. Do not curse. And I'm not going to argue with you. Okay? As long as we got those things, understand, if you believe her, you're more than welcome to call in and say the reasons why you believe her. If you don't believe her, you're more than welcome to state why you don't believe her. If you know what I'm saying? Whatever you feel, you're more than welcome to chime in and say. However, do not use the R word. Do not curse. Do not come in here arguing and being combative, because I'm not about to play with y'all today, okay? I'm not about to play with y'all today. The R word is the R to the A to the P to the E word. We're not going to use, you know, certain P words. We're not going to use, you know, those words are words that trigger the Instagram. I mean, not the Instagram, the YouTube algorithm. So you can't say, you can't say certain trigger words like the P word, the, you know, the pedo, you know, you can't say any of those words, okay? But here's the StreamYard link right here, and let me go to that part. Hold it.
And also abiding by the laws which you live in, then you are showing that you are in good faith with the court. However, Kenneth Petty was not in good faith. Why? Because he failed to register. So what does that mean? That means that he cannot move forward with any type of expungement because he has now been indicted on a new case. The courts will not hear his expungement until the matter of this case is settled. On top of that, for Nicki Minaj to be accused of having a third party negotiate with a potential victim is out of this world. That is a federal crime, punishable up to $250,000 in prison time. So that would mean that Nicki Minaj is trying to bribe a victim, allegedly. But it's interesting because this girl goes back and she says, well, no, you know, I never really talked to them about the money. When I talked to Nicki, it was about woman to woman. Okay. In her interview with the YouTuber.
Oh, it was in the beginning of the video.
the situation about Kenneth Petty wanting to get his record expunged and wanting to be removed from the registry. Now, the victim did speak to this YouTuber, and she made it clear that Kenneth Petty's team or lawyers were trying to get his registry removed, and they wanted her to possibly testify or talk about the situation, and she doesn't want to be involved. She doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to be in another court document. She just wants to be done with it, which I understand. But we also have to understand that why would Kenneth Petty's lawyers, while dealing with an indictment regarding him failing to register, come out and say that they want to get his record expunged, knowing that in the state of New York County and also the U.S. Supreme Court, this is not possible. And here's why. If you guys go to the New York court documents, it actually explains some of the stipulations of Ander trying to get his record expunged. This is what the New York court has to say. After 30 years, a level 2 SO who has not been designated a predator or violent offender can petition the court to be relieved from all registration requirements and be removed from the registry. This petition can be made once every 2 years, starting, and I want to point that word out, starting 30 years after the first registration. So what would that mean? That means that even though Kenneth Petty's lawyers want to get his SO removed, he cannot apply for that until the year of 2025 because he was convicted in the state of New York. And in the state of New York, they cannot petition the court for expungement or removal from registry until 30 years after.
All right. So that comes from Black Tea Blog. Let me come over here. Nini?
Hi, can you hear me?
Okay.
Hey. Well, before I start all that, I just want to give you a compliment. Because you're literally the only one I watch for commentary because you're the only one who's unbiased. And
thank you.
No problem. I think with reporting though, they get a little too involved with your own personal feelings that it kind of clouds the judgments, like kind of like what Nosy did. The thing with those type of cases, it's so hard to like, you're pretty much guilty until proven innocent. Clearly, we already know he's guilty. He did his time. He did all that. But I think that people just kind of, I mean, someone just came out of nowhere and gave information. You just automatically believe, okay, she's the victim. I'm not saying that she might not be, but we don't really know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a little crazy how everybody just believed it. That's like me saying, I've never met, like, I don't know. I'm just going to give an example. Say like Weinstein. And I'd be like, oh, I was the victim. I have no credibility. I've never met the man in my life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly there is a victim, but I think that we should definitely have like more due diligence and really more discernment before we just believe everything that we hear, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to stay too long because I know you have a lot of people. My thing is too, since we don't really know, what if it does come out and this actually wasn't the right person? Because I did see, like, I did watch Black T's video too.
Mm-hmm.
And I did some of the comments where they said they actually found the person who,
yeah,
the person's Twitter.
They were saying that it was a Cardi B Twitter page, but
Yeah.
on that Cardi B Twitter page, the girl is clapping back saying that she not the girl, and then she was saying that I guess they tried to alter her voice to try to make it sound like the girl. I don't know, so that's why I didn't even mention that part.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it seemed a little crazy. I looked it up too. I was just like, this is starting to get a little convoluted. And at the end of the day, we still like for this to become like kind of, you know, gaining as much traction, like Nikki nor Kenny. Well, Kenny wouldn't say anything anyways, but nobody's speaking up on it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, I'm in the middle. I'm indifferent. I don't know what to believe. I feel like I need more evidence before I can just blindly just go with someone. And me personally, I was a victim too, but I don't tie my own personal what I've experienced to someone else's. I don't know because people lie too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
all right,
I
well,
mean,
I'm gonna keep you on. And again, people keep saying victim shaming as if like, again, that is like one of the most abused. I think at the end of the year, I need to write a word out for all of the words that are over abused.
It's one of those buzzworthy words, you know, like everybody uses now, like predator, victim shaming, kind of. They don't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really know the definitions. But I mean, you go ahead, take some people. I'll stay on.
All right. Like victim shaming is saying that Kenneth Petty is innocent. This girl is, this didn't happen. He never hurt anybody. He never did anything to anybody. He's an innocent man. That's victim shaming to say that this didn't happen to a woman. We are aware that this happened to somebody. This happened. He admitted to this happening to somebody. He's convicted. He's an SO for the rest of his life. That's not what's being discussed. Nobody is saying that he didn't do something heinous to somebody. What we're saying is it's been pointed out that there's inconsistencies in the person who is presenting to be the person that this heinous act was done on. I am Relane? Relane? Or how do you say it?
It's Relane.
Yeah.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Yeah.
All right.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. So here's my take on this whole situation. So I know Black Tea Blog was saying how, the case number in the email as well as the case number on the official documents were different. But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that the case because of the fact that this is now a federal case because he did not register in California and the original case was a state case? So wouldn't the case numbers be different in that regard?
What she was referring to, I think that she was saying that there is a victim registry, and the case that you are a part of is what you get like alerted about. You know what I'm saying? Like she's saying that part wouldn't change from what's on the records. Now, every time he gets a new case, it's not going to change their actual initial, thing. That's what she was saying.
Gotcha.
Okay, so like for instance, in my child custody situation, right?
Okay.
I have custody of my daughter, but my daughter's father, he went to the court first. So it's always going to be his name first versus me. I'm always the respondent. Even if if I go to court tomorrow and I say, hey, judge, I want to bring something to your attention about this situation. And I filed a new motion, a new case, a new issue. Our original case is always going to be him bringing the situation first. So he's always the petitioner versus me, the respondent. Like our case number is always the same. You get what I'm saying? Like from the first.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Like we've gone to courts on different issues, but it's the same case. So I think that's what she was pointing out.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm like I said, I don't really know much about like when it comes to like state and federal cases and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think that's really enough evidence to really say that, she's lying or to say that she's telling the truth. I know that she was trying to show some sort of evidence to prove that, that this girl is lying. But for me, I just feel like this isn't enough information for me to say, oh, this is irrefutable proof that she is of course lying, and chasing. I personally feel like if she was clout chasing, one, she would have a social media presence, and two,
that's not always true. I think a lot of people are underestimating what we have evolved into in social media. There are several people who, like, for instance, I don't mean to bring up the whole R. Kelly situation, but somebody trolled me from a page that they didn't show their face for a very long time. And they trolled me and they were getting attention and they were, bringing out certain stuff. Like, just because you don't show your face doesn't mean that you're not seeking attention. I just like, we've evolved past that level in social media because people will troll you in just the satisfaction of being put on a blog, or just the satisfaction of, the story that they want to be told is out. Like, that doesn't, it doesn't mean that just because you didn't show a face doesn't mean that you're not seeking attention.
Although that's true, I don't really get the sense of clout chasing because of the fact that, I mean, okay, let's take for example, the girl Redbone, who, when Nikki and Kenneth first started dating, she came out of the woodwork. She came out with text messages and receipts saying that Kenneth was only with her for the money, and that they were going to be to get that he was going to get her money, and then he was going to go back to her, right? And then she was talking a lot, she was trying to get, as she was trying to get her face out there as much. And I agree with you that not everybody, has to show their face in order to get clout. But I mean, it does show a little bit of a pattern, because of the fact that when she started talking, all of a sudden she disappeared. And we didn't hear nothing about her for the longest time. She was talking a lot. And then next thing you know, we see that she was almost beaten to the end of her life out of nowhere when she was attacked in her home. And so, and when the victim, she mentioned that, Nikki has goons, or Kenneth has goons contacting her and her family. It just kind of, I don't know, it just, there's too much of a link there, in my personal opinion. And she called out one of those goons by name, who happens to be in a clip on Queen Radio where Nikki calls him out by name. So I feel like there's too much.
But people can look at Nikki's Queen Radio and get names of people and then say later, regurgitate that name. And you know what I'm saying? Like, just because that's the thing. Like, you guys can easily be fooled by that. Like, I can literally say my daughter's name, and then somebody can go and recite my daughter's name with false information. But because they have my daughter's name, people will be like, "Oh, it's true. She said her daughter's name." Like that. Like the stuff that people connect to make something true. To me, it is really now. Like, there's a blogger, and I'm gonna let you go after this. There's a blogger who I don't even F with, don't mess with, think the lady is crazy, that shit crazy. But there was a guy who he went on the Armand Wiggins show. He didn't show his face. He made up lies and rumors about that woman for attention. And it wasn't until he got doxxed, people found out who he was. After that, he then showed his face. But people make up stuff without showing their face all the time. So I just want to say that, because a lot of people keep saying, what do you get out of not showing your face? People do it all the time. People make up stuff without showing their face all the time. Like, they literally, there's so many examples of people who go without showing their face. They make up complete stuff, like completely, things that people believe, and then later you find out, like, damn, that wasn't even true. Like, so I just want y'all to understand that part is not solid, that it's not an attention-seeking thing. You get what I'm saying? And again, I don't know if this is actually her or not. I just want y'all to be able to think and understand that the things that you guys are basing as proof isn't really proof. Now, if you believe her because you believe the conviction in her words, if you believe her because you feel like, it was, like, it sound like, hey, that's fine and dandy. Believe what you want to believe, believe what you want to believe. But I just want you guys to understand, in a social media day and time that we are in, just because a person doesn't show their face doesn't mean that they're not, like, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that. Nikki J.
Hey, Nick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. Glad I caught your live. Let's get into it, girl. Okay. So first of all, I want to touch on like 3 just little areas, right? Okay. I like that you're a logical thinker. Okay. I caught up on your show yesterday, and it was a lot of victims calling in, and it was just almost like therapy. Not to shade them, they probably gonna eat me up in the comments, but I'm just gonna say what it is. Like, they were all speaking from areas of bias, like putting themselves in a situation. And if we was in court right now, they wouldn't even pass the voir dire, because you wouldn't get selected for the jury because you're too biased. Like this, we're just being honest. So I think that the logical thing is that we just don't know. Like you said, we don't know if this is her or if it's not her. And I hate when people be like, oh, I just know it's her. I know it. You don't know. You don't know. People can act, people can lie, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm kind of confused on why she's speaking out. Did she say she was speaking out because she's still being threatened right now? Is that why she's speaking out?
I think she said that they were bothering her and making her like try to recant her story. So she was like fed up with them coming to her trying to get her to recant her story.
Okay, so this is my thing, right? And if it was me, I just keep thinking like this is not a threat or anything, but if you're saying they're threatening you to recant your story or they're trying to pay you off or what have you, like if they want you gone, then you're gonna be gone. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm sure Nikki has more than enough money to hire somebody who can get the job done without getting caught. Again, not a threat, but this is just me thinking about if it was me, you know? So I just feel like by you speaking out, you putting yourself even more on the map. I mean, I would try to live a pleasant life away from the media as much as I possibly could if I was her. That's just me though.
All right. Thank you, Nikki J.
All right. You're welcome.
All right. Cookie.
Hey, Neat.
Hey.
So, okay. So, I'm gonna say like whatever I say, I'm sure people gonna go against it. But you know, okay. For one,
All right.
I was
Pause
also.
first. Wait. If you have not, sorry to pause you, Cookie, but I'm gonna let you go. If you have not liked the video already, hit the like button right now. If this is your first time on my channel and you have not hit the subscribe button and you have not done that, hit the subscribe button right now. Also, let me know where you're tuning in from. I want to know where everybody is tuning in from right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment right now where you're tuning in from. All right, go, Cookie. Go.
Oh, okay. So I'm from Miami. So my whole thing is I was a victim, you know, from child, you know, whatever. But I don't too much dwell on it because it's the past. So I'm not when I speak because I'm also a mother from, you know, of a son. So I try to put myself in the middle part. Now, I honestly do not believe none of this stuff. And, I'm like, I need more proof. Like, where's the proof? Like, anybody can say stuff, but where's the proof? And the comments, I was when I was saying stuff in the comments, I'm like, it's easy, for somebody to plead guilty. Wait, I'm trying to get my words. Um, okay. So I was saying like I see people were saying like, oh, he pled guilty to it. And I'm like, of course, he was 15 years old. Like New York is known to target a certain group of people. And when when them detectives and stuff want to get something, close a case, that's what they do. And that's why I use like the Central Five, exonerated five boys, they case as an example. And I'm like, where's like I need more proof now. Like I need more proof. Like, is this really the girl? Like, where's the proof? And then people were saying like
we won't be able to. I'm not saying as far as like rape kits, things like that. Just go ahead. I'll be back.
And then somebody else was like I had this discussion on another platform, and then somebody was like, oh, he did. Somebody was like, oh, he did rape that girl, and I'm like, it's easy to me. I feel like it is easy to sit there and say that somebody raped you if you had sex with them and your DNA on you.
Go ahead and talk. I'm doing other stuff as well. Go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Neek. Hey, I'm from the Inland Empire. So I already know, and I follow your show periodically. And I watched actually this pretty much yesterday. And I don't know a lot about this, but I think it's important to remain when we're looking at situations such as this, to remain objective, because there's a lot of victims. I am actually a survivor, and so I don't automatically just fall into the trap of when a woman comes out, or a female, and says that they have been molested, or or something to that. I don't want to get into the words that you said don't use, but I don't actually fall into that trap, because I know what it's like to be a victim that have now become a survivor. So I think it's important to remain objective, and to also remain emotionally objective. And I do appreciate that you can do that. And yesterday, when someone made a comment that you didn't show any emotion, I explained to them that you have to be able to have emotional objectivity, and not get caught up in your feelings when you're hearing situations. And a good journalist should be able to do that and be unbiased. And so they sent me a message back saying that was scary. I don't believe that's scary. I believe that's a sign of maturity, and it's a level of being emotional intelligent. But however, I think before we can just jump in and say, because of someone's tone of voice, or their authoritative behind their tone of voice, or the words that they're using, that everyone wants to say, oh yeah, I believe that person. But I think we have to use discernment, and we also have to be able to do our own research, not just jump into a he said, she said, and believe that. And I don't believe all women. I'm going to say that, because we've had that conversation in the past about R. Kelly. I don't believe all women. And although I am a survivor, I mean, I have some grievous stories about what happened to me, but however, I don't believe all women. And I think it's appropriate for us to make sure that we are, that we are just and fair, because we do have, I believe, a corrupted judicial system and how things are handled. And there's a lot of situations going on now, I do believe. And when I look at having a son and being raised in a home of 7 brothers, and having nephews and uncles, but having nephews. So I have to be objective. And with the career that I have, the profession that I serve in, I have to be objective. But however, it's important to do so, because if you are automatically believing every woman that says they've been, violated in such a way, and they come out later, because we do have proof that women have come out later, and it's been research and evidence that they have lied, and now you have ruined a young man or a man's life and their livelihood. And I think that's very, very wrong. So for any woman that is saying that I just automatically believe something, I think you need to examine yourselves, and you need to look at being just as a micro level. Am I a just person? At the micro level, because justice starts within us first. And we do need to look at all aspects of that. And I appreciate you again, being unbiased on your channel, and being objective.
I have to be in and out, because multitasking,
So I appreciate that. Okay. I truly appreciate that.
Somebody said, do you have a career in law enforcement?
No, I don't, but I'm not a younger woman, but I'm sorry, I look this way because I've been studying. I mean, I'm pursuing higher level of education, but no, I don't. But I am an educated woman, and I'm an older woman with a 29-year-old son. Happy birthday to him today. And I've had quite a bit of experiences.
Do you feel like, sorry to cut you off, I often see within our community, a lot of people feel as though, because I've seen some people in the chat, they were like, if you have daughters, then how could you not believe women? But then you say you have a son. And I seen there was a meme going around, and they said that women tend to treat their boys differently than their girls. So what do you think about that? It's a little bit off topic, but I just want
Actually, that may be true, that women tend to treat sons different than boys. But with my son, I only have one child. I raised him to be respectful of women. I taught him a lot of things, to take care of himself, to pursue his relationship with Christ, to be a fair person and just. And so I believe that for my son, I didn't pamper him, I didn't baby him, but I took care of him, but I raised him to be a respectful man and to be a productive citizen in society. Now, when it comes to daughters, I think it's easier for people to say, well, I have a daughter. But I believe that if you raise your daughter to be a respectful woman, to take care of herself and to, love on herself, because I think also that we have to be able to teach our daughters about self-esteem, and we have to take care of them, and we have to know what's going on in our daughters' lives, because of course females are different than men. So we have to do those things, but we still, again, should not automatically believe every female just because you have a daughter. That's a very biased statement, and I believe that's tunnel vision, because you have to still look at it on another perspective. Because with my son, there was some issues, and we jumped in it right away and met with the parents. And come to find out, this young woman, she was a teenager, but she was actually lying. And my son really he could have been accused of statutory rape when he was a teenager over a lie that this young girl made. And so I think it's important to look at all aspects of it. And yes, there are women that say, well, I have a daughter, I had a friend. We had a conversation about her daughter. And
So
the R. Kelly.
Somebody said that's your bias. Do you think that created a sort of bias for you?
I don't believe it created a bias for me, because again, I was a victim and I am a survivor. So no, I'm not biased towards that. I just think that we have to keep an open mind, and we have to sit down and talk to our daughters. And if your daughter comes and tells you something that happened, you do need to sit down and talk with your daughter. You sit down, get the information, get both sides of it. Because with this family that happened with my son when he was a teenager, the parents actually sat down and met with us. And this was another Black family, and they got the information and they talked with their daughter. We all talked. And so therefore, I think that's a learning curve for all of us, to just not assume that, yes, Johnny down the street did this to my daughter. Because again, there are a lot of situations where females they're not truthful. So I'm not being biased. I'm very open when it comes down to what's fair and what's right. So I'm not a biased person, but I do believe that we do need to do our research, and we need to ask questions. And some people know who their children are. Some of them know. I got daughters that are fast. I got daughters that are conservative. I got daughters that are very guarded. I mean, you have to know your children. These are your children you're raising, so know them.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your insight and coming on. Until next time, I'm going to go to
Thank you very much.
All right. Some people in the chat are saying she's biased. I don't think that she's biased. I think that the reality of life is giving her perspective on, you got to look at both sides. I don't think that her saying that you have to look at things objectively is being biased, because she's not berating women and saying that all women are liars. She's not saying that don't believe women. She's not saying any of that. She's saying that, due to experience, you have to keep an open mind. And I think that's all she was saying. I don't think that she was saying, I don't think that makes her biased, in my opinion. But let me see. Did I go to Nini already? Nini? Okay, I think I went to you when I was trying to multitask. Baby.
Hey.
Hey.
So I just wanted to say a few things. I didn't want to make it long, but I just wanted people to understand that he was 16 years old when this happened. That's number one. Mm-hmm. It's been over 20-something years since this has happened. He's been with Nicki Minaj for 2 years now. I feel like personally, if this was going to go on, it would have happened a long time ago. Number two, what would be the point of him coming out now trying to harass her and get these things taken,
Well, according to her, he has a new court case coming up, and that was her reason as to why.
Right. So with that, it's like, okay, he has this new court date, but why would he be harassing you to write a letter when, as you can see in Black T blog, it wouldn't help his case at all. I'm not understanding why people are looking at facts. Like, everybody's story isn't your story. Just because you were, just because you had a situation when you were younger, that doesn't mean it happened the same way for this next person. I just don't like how people are just ignoring all the facts and accusing people of victim blaming. It's not victim blaming. Everybody should have a chance to look at the facts and say, okay, this is this and this is that. Of course, I don't feel like it's right for us to sit and say, oh, this happened or this didn't happen. I feel like what we should be discussing is whether this person who just came out with this YouTube video is in fact the victim, because he's already been tried and been to court for the rape. Even if you think he didn't do that, we don't even know if this is really the victim. She doesn't show her face. We don't know her name. It was a real coincidence that they both were on the chat at the same time, and that whole incident went down on these live. Like, it does none of it makes sense. And I feel like people just want to agree because it's Nicki Minaj, and two, people want to agree because they were victims, and that's not fair because everyone has a story, and everybody's story isn't your story. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you, KB. Cookie, did we already go to you?
Yeah, I think I had got something happened with my phone.
Oh, did you already speak?
I spoke a little bit. But I just the only thing I really wanted to say was I love your channel, especially when you talk about stuff like this, because you always, you're not biased when it comes down to stuff like this. And like I said, I was a victim, but I have two kids. I have a son and I have a daughter. So I always try to remain in the middle. And because I was a victim as a child, I know there's people that go through things or whatever. And then I also know there's women that can lie, because I was once a foster child and I had to save my foster parent's son from he was almost going to jail because one of the foster girls lied on him. And that's one of the reasons why I always try to stay, in the middle, because I see, even though it happened to me, I see how quickly something can damage a dude too from lies. And like women, like the women that was in your comments yesterday on the other video, like I was seeing, like they was like, oh, the girl's telling the truth. So I was like, well, where is the proof? Like, how do we know that this is really the girl? Like, nobody knows nothing right now. I feel like it's just hearsay. And same thing that with the whole R. Kelly situation. I didn't believe all them girls. I didn't. And I fought the parents too. But a lot of people came on me and was like, why they told me I was victim shaming. I'm like, I'm not victim shaming. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish people would kind of get the emotions out of it and try to look at it, a different way. Because but that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, Black T Blog has entered the chat.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I love your channel. I love your channel. Thank you for shouting me out. I appreciate it. But I love that you're having like a different side of it. And the whole thing is this. I understand that she is saying that she's a victim. Nobody is disputing that Mr. Petty had a victim. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about if this person that has resurfaced is the victim. And she is saying that, that the U.S. Marshals has reached out to her. If that's the case, why is there no evidence or log in the court documents saying that there was some type of question about victim harassment or victim bribery? He just had a court date in November where he was in good cause with the court and he was able to modify his conditions of bail. So that it just doesn't add up. And I feel like for her to go on another platform to change her story, then present receipts that are blurry, first of all, then say, she talked directly to Nicki Minaj, but then say, oh, but she's not the one who offered the money. It's just too many inconsistencies. And nobody's bashing her. All we're saying is that if you're going to come out and tell the truth, support your truth with facts. This is somebody's life. Kenneth Petty did something very bad. Nobody's denying that. He admitted it in open court. But he's already paid for that. Yes, he didn't register. And usually I spoke with an actual district attorney, because people don't know I live in LA. I am a forensic social worker. I have an MSW in social work. I've worked with pedophiles. I've worked with sex offenders.
Keyword.
Sorry. I've worked with a lot of different offenders, and I've been in the courts for a very long time. Usually the victim does not have to come to court for not registering. They try to eliminate that, to eliminate the victim having to be re-victimized again. So usually they just bring up the old case, which is noted in his new case, and they reference that. So everything and how it unfolded, I just feel like it's not right.
What do you think about the cousin that they said was the proof?
The cousin talking on there about this person being delusional, I thought that was very interesting, because it felt like possibly, okay, there was some validity to her story. But that's the thing. She is saying that she's a victim of this situation, and she very well may be. Nobody is saying that, and I said that in my video over and over again, that she might not be lying about being the victim, but the way she is going about it makes her look like she's being deceptive. And for her cousin, so quote unquote, to come on there, call her out and say that she was delusional and get muted, that just made me understand that, okay, something is not right. I don't know what's not right, but something in her story is not right. And so that's why I believe that she's not telling the truth.
Oh, okay. And I mean, you did a very good video. What do you think about the people who feel like you are biased for Nicki Minaj or whatever?
It's funny. I have so many people saying that Nicki Minaj is paying me. I wish Nicki Minaj, hello. I just did a whole video. And, I have people saying that I'm biased for certain things. And this is the thing. Right is right. Wrong is wrong. If Kenneth Petty, in those court documents that I pulled up, which are public record, anybody can go pay for those, right? If there was something in there to say that he was bribing a witness, or there's any validity to her story, I would have pointed that out. Right is right. You can't get on public platforms, try to ruin someone's life, and then not bring any evidence to support your claim. Period. It would have went the same way if this was Cardi B. If Cardi B had victims coming up saying, oh, she did this, I would have done the same research to see if that happened with Cardi B. Right is right. This woman, if she's so hurt, why aren't you going to the authorities? You said that they offered you witness protection. That's a lie. They don't offer you witness protection right off the bat and not document it with the court. That doesn't make any sense. There are so many other resources for victims in this situation that she could be taking on or using, and she's running to YouTube. If you're so scared, if I'm scared for my life, I'm about to tell the authorities, look, this is who I talked to. This is who's bothering me. This is what's going on. I'm not going to go to YouTube and talk to a YouTuber. What are they going to do for me? Now, if she tries to go to court, and if she is the victim and tries to go to court, they're going to be like, well, we see a video here of you saying this. We see another video here of you saying this. So what's really going on?
Yeah, I think people felt like it was very fishy with the whole cousin thing. Because a couple people had DM me, and because people were like, oh, well, that's confirmation. But there's other people who feel like it's fishy that No's page is not really, she's up and coming, but it's not really a popular channel.
Mm-hmm.
She's not like a channel where people are gonna, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like they felt like it was a weird coincidence that the actual victim and the cousin were on at the same exact time within like minutes of her going
exactly
live. Like that was kind of fishy, because it's like this isn't really a popular channel, so the odds of somebody who knows her for a fact that calls and confronts her, they felt like that was the fishy part about it.
No, you're 100% right. She wouldn't have went on a platform like yours. She wouldn't have went on a platform like the Lovely T or somebody like that, because she knew that you guys were going to ask valid questions. And she knew that if she went to a YouTuber who probably doesn't have exclusives like that, she would have been able to tell her story without being questioned. And that's what makes this whole situation just so out of this world. And that girl jumped into my DMs threatening me, like cussing at me. And I just thought that was clownish.
Saying what?
Yeah, I'm gonna post the DMs on my YouTube channel, but she was like, "Oh, you used my clip, but didn't credit me. That's cute." I did credit her twice, and then she said, "Oh, that's corny. You're a thief for stealing my information." And it's so funny because she did a video where she was calling out Tasha K for about striking her channel. She tried to threaten me to strike my channel because I used the clip of the cousin going back and forth with the victim. So I blocked her because she's a clown. And that's exactly why the victim went to her channel, because she knew she wasn't going to ask valid questions. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, that part, if you're able to use like certain clips to show fair use, like that, what you did was considered fair use.
Yeah, exactly. So she tried to come, but and I'm neither here nor there. She got the interview, but it's just funny that the person reached out to her. Out of all the YouTubers that could have gotten her name out, she didn't go to anybody like that has been on YouTube because she was afraid of those big questions. I don't want her to come to my channel in the comments. I don't want her to come to my channel because then my credibility is questioned because I'm entertaining this mess. But Neek, what do you think about the Barty gang receipts that people are sending?
Well, the people were sending that to me, and they were saying that the girl behind the Barty gang fan page was the girl behind the interview. But then I also seen where people said that the voice was altered a little bit. So I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've seen it, and I'm aware of it. I was just like, it's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just think the bottom line is that we need to understand Kenneth Petty, he did something bad back in the day. We know that. He paid his time. He failed to register, his fault. He needs to go through the court process to deal with that. If this is not the victim, think about the actual victim that is having to look at all this stuff on the internet. If it's not her, how would you feel if somebody was taking your story to like manipulate it and make it, something that it's not? We didn't hear this woman's name until the best friend came out and said her name was Jennifer. Now, all of a sudden, she's coming out to say her name is Jennifer. Because this woman, the victim, she has been sealed from the beginning of time because she was a minor during the offense. So I just hope that whoever this victim is, that she goes to the authorities. And, I'm not going to report on it anymore because it's just we're feeding into the smoke.
All right. Well, thank you for chiming on, and don't go try to strike my video, girl. I'm just trying to paint both sides, okay?
I'm striking you. Girl, you do your thing. Don't worry about it. You have a good day.
Goodbye. One thing I will want to one other thing that I do want to one thing I do want to mention before we get out of here is the Hey Paris situation. If you guys are not familiar with the Hey Paris situation, look up the YouTuber Hey Paris. She had a big falling out with another YouTuber who reenacted her story word for word. Like, Hey Paris is a YouTuber, and she does story times, and she tells her story and things like that. Just for the people who think that people can't, it's so absurd for a person to use another person's story and reenact it, and you think that it can't happen. Go look at Hey Paris. Again, this is not me saying that that's not the lady, but I just want you guys to have an open mind and not be so closed-minded to think that things are so far-fetched that people will do. If you look up Hey Paris, she did a story time about working at Sephora, right? When she worked at Sephora, she gave her accounts as to, a situation that she had. She talked about, what the color, the makeup, the part, she did a story time from front to back. 3 years later, a white YouTuber took her story time and recited everything that she said word for word for word and passed it off like it was her story. This just happened a couple weeks ago. So, I just want you guys to have that in mind as well. People do take people's stories and reenact their stories. Look up Hey Paris, and I think the girl's name is Marjorie. The other white YouTuber, she had 13 million subscribers on her channel. Hey Paris has about like 700,000, and this YouTuber who had 13 million subscribers took her story word for word for word for word and told her story as if it was her own, and completely, it was like a complete lie because it wasn't her story. It was Hey Paris's story. You know what I'm saying? So people do that. And if you guys are not aware, look that up just so that you guys can have an open perspective of both sides. Because I see in the comments, a lot of people think like, oh, why would a person do that? A person isn't going to do that. They do that. They do that. Nini?
Hey, I just wanted to make another comment again. About that, like earlier someone was like, what does she have to lose in all this? I think the thing with it is not that what is that person has to lose or and whatnot. I think sometimes people forget that we live in a day and age that's very like celebrity obsessed and idol worship. And what I mean by that is it's not necessarily this person wants to like tell their story or just get it out. They want to kind of bring down a celebrity too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the bigger question in all this isn't, is there a victim? We know there is a victim. Obviously, he went to, prison for that. There was a art kit done, clearly. Just like Black T, shout out to her, had kept commenting on, which people still, because they're triggered. And when you comment something that's objective, and that's not the general consensus way everybody's thinking, then it's automatically you're shaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, like, I think that the thing we're more looking at here is this actually the person? And at this point, I don't really, honestly, I don't know. I'm not in it, but Black T did give a lot of like empirical evidence that maybe this might not be the person. It does seem a little bit, I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Neek? Like, it does seem a little bit like out of nowhere.
I don't know. I don't know. One way or another, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. And like I said, I don't know. I'm not saying that there's not one. My thing is just, I don't know if this person's really that person who's the victim. And don't put anything past anybody in Hollywood or fans. We live in a day and age where people are just so obsessed. So I can dislike this person so much that I want to take them down. I'm going to put fake stories, false narratives and all that. I mean, we've seen that countless times throughout Hollywood. So I don't know why people are acting shocked like this won't happen. Like, someone can't lie and put out a story against a celebrity or against him. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, thank you.
Well, yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Right. And I just keep seeing victim blaming in the chat. Like, no, like Kenneth Petty is guilty. There is a victim. Asking if this is the actual victim when we did not have proof, that is not victim blaming. That's saying, hey, lady, we never heard from you. If you're coming out making such statements, do you have proof to back up those claims to say that you are who you say you are? That's not victim blaming and saying that Kenneth Petty is innocent. That's not victim blaming and saying that Kenneth Petty didn't do a crime. That's simply saying, hey, I hear you. I hear the claims that you're making. I hear the story that you're saying, but do you have proof to show us that you are who you say you are? That's it. All right, I don't know what's going on. But anyways, that's all for this video. Again, you can believe what you want to believe. If you believe that it's her, you have every right to believe that it's her. If you believe that it could possibly be up in the air, then you have every right to feel like it's up in the air. Like I said at the start of my video, you can believe which way or another, but on my channel, if there's other evidence that points to an objective perspective and there is somebody pointing out things, I have to share it with you guys and I have to let you guys know what's going on. But anyways, that's all. Somebody said, how would you feel if somebody didn't believe your story? Let me have a moment of silence for this lack of comprehension. I'm having a moment of silence. I'm having a moment of silence right now. Because you could literally explain exactly, and you can be so clear. You could be so clear in what you're saying, and there will still be somebody who totally does not comprehend a word that came out of your mouth. Oh my goodness. If I was to make a claim, which I have made claims that people were harassing me, and I have made claims that people were doxing me, I would show proof. Now, once I show proof and say, this is what they're doxing me and saying, this is what they're inboxing me and saying, this came from this person with timestamps and dates and times of the timeline that I'm saying it. If at that point you don't believe it, then that's up to you. The only thing people are saying is, how can we be sure that the heinous crime that Kenneth Petty committed to a victim is the actual person that's coming forward with no proof? That's all that's being said here. Nobody is saying that he didn't do a heinous crime. Nobody is saying that he didn't R a girl. Nobody is saying that at all. They're just simply pointing out that there's no proof that this person is the actual person. Kayla, get off my live. I was almost about to call you out your name. Get off my live. Okay? Get and I don't like to offend other women who are victims, but I understand that some people do not have their traumas situated. Some people have not dealt with their traumas, so they're not able to grasp anything else. So, I try not to, offend other people who are subscribed to me who are victims, and I try to be delicate. But if you have not dealt with your own personal traumas, then this video probably is not the video for you to be on. And I said that in the beginning of the video. Period. And this is the last question that I will answer. Somebody said, why does she need to prove to you? She doesn't need to prove to me anything. But I'm not going to be mad at people who feel as though they don't believe her based on not knowing proof. You can not show whatever you don't want to show. But just know that if you don't show proof that you are who you say you are, people are going to have questions that you are who you say you are. That's all that's being said. If you say that you are Billy Bob Joe and you were associated with X, Y, and Z story, if you don't show proof, people have the authority to believe you are actually the real Billy Bob or not. She doesn't have to show anything. But anyways, that's all for this video. I got more videos that I got to knock out and get out to you guys. I'm blocking people off my channel with foolishness. If you come to my channel with disrespect, you're going to get blocked. You can disagree all day. You can believe her all day. That's fine. That's totally fine. You can say, hey, I believe her. This is why I believe her. But the moment that you come disrespectful, you insult and all that, you will be blocked. Because, bitch, why do I got to have you on my page? I don't. Goodbye. Peace. Okay? But yeah. All right, let me go.